Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Right now! I got one at the...
Shots fired by police.
Come on, boy! Come on, boy! Come on, boy! Come on, Rambo! Woo! Rambo! Woo! Hey, Jorge!
Every day, thousands of police officers across America clock in for their shifts. They suit up, check their equipment, and roll out from the precinct. Some will respond to routine calls, domestic disputes, fender benders, stolen property reports. But others will face situations that no amount of training can fully prepare you for. Split-second moments where every decision becomes a matter of life and death. Times when making it home safely to your family is anything but guaranteed. Today, we're going to witness 3 incidents captured by dashcam, bodycam, and surveillance footage. Raw, unscripted, unfiltered moments of reality. These are stories of courage, lightning-fast reflexes, and the hardest calls an officer will ever have to make. Case 1. High-speed chase and hostage situation in Ohio. On the afternoon of March 6, 2022, in Richland County, Ohio, 60 miles north of Columbus, a stolen red SUV dragged police into a dangerous high-speed pursuit that tore through multiple counties. The incident would culminate in a tense hostage standoff, a stolen patrol car, and a violent carjacking of a minivan.
Shots fired by police.
Around 1:09 p.m., an Ohio State Highway Patrol trooper spotted the stolen red Suburban pulling out of a rest area off U.S. Route 30 near I-71. When the trooper moved in on Reed Road and attempted a traffic stop, the driver hit the gas and took off. Lieutenant Jimmy Nicholson from the Richland County Sheriff's Office heard the call come across the radio about the pursuit. A rookie with just a few months on the job also joined the chase, his first major pursuit. The vehicle tore down US 30 at high speed, turned onto State Route 309, and blasted through multiple roadways. The suspect ran red lights, nearly collided with a trooper trying to navigate an uphill grade. The vehicle rammed into multiple other cars while fleeing. Near the Ontario Family Chiropractic on Millsboro Road, the vehicle slammed into another car. Thick smoke poured from the SUV, and it looked like it was falling apart, but it kept moving for a stretch before finally coming to a stop in a residential yard between Lexington Spring Mill Road and Lexington, Ontario Road. Officers from 3 agencies, Ohio State Highway Patrol, Richland County Sheriff's Office, and Ontario Police Department surrounded the area. Police commanded, "Exit the vehicle and get on the ground." The driver, 31-year-old Jeremy A. Reynolds from Mount Gilead, refused to comply. A female was in the passenger seat. Police discovered the vehicle had dark tinted windows and didn't know how many people were inside.
Something.
Driver, get out of the vehicle! Get on the ground!
Officers used the PA system to communicate. After about 10 minutes, the woman's screams rang out, followed by what sounded like a gunshot. Crisis negotiators from Ontario arrived on scene. Reynolds continued to refuse for the next 30 minutes. Over the radio, police heard Reynolds say, "I'm gonna die." The threat of a suicide by cop situation became crystal clear. Officers observed Reynolds masking up, putting on a ski mask and preparing for action. One officer warned, "Get ready, he might come out shooting." The vehicle smoked heavier and caught fire. Reynolds emerged with the woman. He wore a black ski mask and held what appeared to be a black handgun pressed against the woman's temple, using her as a human shield. They moved slowly westbound on Millsboro Road, advancing toward an unmanned Ohio State Highway Patrol cruiser parked with emergency lights still flashing. Lieutenant Jimmy Nicholson, with 27 and a half years on the job, fired the first shot, striking Reynolds to protect the hostage.
Shots fired by
Sergeant John
police.
Major from Ontario Police Department, with 24 and a half years of experience, fired the second round, also hitting Reynolds as he attempted to flee. Despite being wounded, Reynolds climbed into the stolen patrol car with the woman and drove off eastbound on Millsboro Road with the emergency lights still running. He turned back onto eastbound US 30. Reynolds stopped the patrol car on US 30 near Township Road 1255. He violently carjacked a minivan, yanking two women, the driver and passenger, out of the vehicle. Reynolds left both the original female hostage and the two new victims on the roadside, then fled in the minivan. The chase continued through Richland County into Ashland County. A trooper executed a tactical vehicle intervention on State Route 511, south of County Road 30A. The minivan went off the road at 2093 County Road 2104 in Ashland County. Reynolds was taken into custody at the scene. He had 2 gunshot wounds, neither life-threatening. Following the incident, Reynolds and the woman were transported to the hospital for treatment of non-life-threatening injuries. The minivan driver was also taken to the hospital for minor injuries. No officers were injured. Reynolds was later held at Richland County Jail on $1 million bond. He faced charges of failure to comply with police orders and theft. The officer-involved shooting is under investigation by the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation. Fortunately, the situation ended without any fatalities. On the night of December 1, 2020, in Parkville, Baltimore County, Maryland, a suburb bordering Baltimore City,
Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Right now! I got one at the counter. Today.
3 armed suspects stormed a CVS pharmacy on East Joppa Road to steal prescription painkillers. Baltimore County Police responded swiftly and interrupted the robbery in progress, leading to a tense pursuit through the air and on the ground. Around 11:30 p.m., 3 men entered the CVS pharmacy on East Joppa Road in Parkville. Initially, they posed as regular customers, casing the place and showing the pharmacist products. The suspects quickly made their move. They brandished firearms at the pharmacist and demanded all prescription painkillers. These suspects knew the street value of these drugs, about $1 per milligram. The suspects took hostages, herding all employees and customers to the front of the store for easier control. They forced the pharmacist to empty the safe and continued grabbing medications. A security guard monitoring surveillance cameras called 911 at 11:34 p.m., reporting at least 2 armed suspects inside the store. Officer Lawrence from Precinct 8 Parkville got the call while about 2 miles from the scene. He immediately raced to the location. Dispatch advised at least 2 armed suspects were grabbing drugs. Officer Lawrence arrived first and entered the building immediately rather than waiting for backup. Officer Leisure arrived moments later as backup. Body camera footage shows Officer Lawrence entering the CVS with his weapon drawn, ordering the suspect to put his hands up. One suspect was standing behind the checkout counter over 2 witnesses. The officer commanded the suspect to get on the ground immediately. The suspect, later identified as 21-year-old Taekwon Dejan Fuqua from Kearney, hesitated. His right hand started dropping toward his waistband, where a handgun was concealed. Officers repeatedly commanded him not to move. Officer Lawrence asked about the location of the gun. Fuqua finally complied and got on the ground. Police searched him and recovered a loaded handgun from his pants pocket. One suspect was in custody and the hostages were freed. The pharmacist ran over to inform police that 2 others had jumped out the window. The officer radioed about 2 suspects escaping through the back window. Descriptions went out. Black males wearing masks and hoodies. The 2 suspects had fled through the pharmacy window carrying bags full of prescription drugs. They got into a waiting vehicle. Baltimore County Police deployed their helicopter. The pilot and Officer Steinler, operating the camera from the back seat, flew to the scene. A security company was tracking the getaway car via GPS. The helicopter followed the location updates, but the intel wasn't precise. The suspects could be at that location or miles away. As the helicopter flew over Bel Air Road, they narrowed it down from 5 vehicles to 4, then down to 2 or 3. None were driving erratically or too fast. The suspects were trying to blend in. Ground units were ready to make the stop. Tension ran high. Police didn't know if the suspects would open fire, use the vehicle as a weapon, or surrender. It had been 25 minutes since the robbery. Police decided to stop the suspect vehicle. 1 car pulled over, and 2 suspects bailed out, running on foot. Police gave chase. The 2 suspects ran around the corner of a townhouse complex. An extremely dangerous position because police didn't know what they'd face when they turned that corner. After a brief foot pursuit lasting only seconds, officers caught both suspects and cuffed them. Word went out over the radio that all suspects were in custody. During the pat-down, 1 suspect denied having anything dangerous on him. Police found a gun. The driver of the getaway car was still sitting in the vehicle. Turns out they had used an Uber as their getaway ride because the suspect arrested first inside the store had the keys to their original getaway car. The Uber driver was released. Following the incident, 3 suspects were arrested and identified. Taekwon Dejan Fuqua, 21, from Kearney, White Marsh, Maryland. David Roosevelt Fulgham III, 22, from Baltimore, Maryland. Dylan Lonklet Smith, 21, from York, Pennsylvania. Both Fuqua and Smith were carrying loaded handguns when apprehended. Cash and prescription drugs were recovered from the vehicle. All 3 were charged with multiple offenses, including armed robbery, first-degree assault, and theft. They were ordered held without bail following a bond hearing. The Uber driver was not charged. Fortunately, no one was injured in the incident. Case 3. Circus animals rescued from a burning truck in Indiana. In the early hours of January 27, 2024, along Interstate 69 in Grant County, Indiana, about 60 miles northeast of Indianapolis, a pickup truck hauling a trailer full of circus animals burst into flames. 10 animals from the Shrine Circus, en route to Fort Wayne for a weekend show, were trapped inside. A heroic police rescue saved them all.
Come on, boss! Come on, boss! Come on, boss! Come on, Rambo! Wow! Rambo! Wow! Hey, Porky!
Around 2 a.m., Trooper Edward Titus with the Indiana State Police was patrolling I-69 when he spotted a 2012 Volvo pickup fully engulfed in flames near mile marker 264. The driver, a 57-year-old man from Sarasota, Florida, managed to escape safely. But inside the trailer were 10 animals from the Shrine Circus, 5 zebras, 4 camels, and 1 miniature horse. Trooper Titus called for backup. Deputy Joshua Kennedy from the Grant County Sheriff's Office responded to the scene. A member of the Shrine Circus also arrived to help. The 3 men rushed into the smoke-filled trailer to save the animals. They began by leading the camels out first. 1 circus handler held the reins while the officers assisted. 5 terrified zebras and the miniature horse remained locked in the rear section of the trailer. Flames spread quickly. Stored batteries and fuel began to explode, sending bursts of fire from the trailer. The officers split tasks. 1 held the zebras, while the other went back inside to bring out the remaining animals. The animals fought against being let out, too scared to leave the trailer. The rescuers persisted, pulling each one to safety. Eventually, every animal was freed. The air was thick with smoke and burning chemicals. As the hay caught fire, visibility dropped even more. Trooper Titus and Deputy Kennedy focused only on getting the animals out, ignoring the danger of inhaling toxic fumes. They led the animals away from the burning vehicle and urged bystanders to back up. All circus animals were now safe, but with the fire department still minutes away, the danger remained. The truck exploded again, sending debris flying. The officers guided the animals to the highway median for safety. When the first fire engine arrived, the loud engines startled most of the animals. One zebra broke free and bolted toward the guardrail before slowing down. Patrol units quickly contained the situation. All animals were accounted for and checked. Fire crews began extinguishing the blaze, setting up temporary barriers to keep the animals contained. Camels in one section, zebras in another. Another trailer was on its way to pick them up within 8 minutes. Officers focused on keeping the animals calm and preventing them from running off. Once the replacement trailer arrived, they began loading the zebras. All animals were safely transported back to Fort Wayne to perform the following day. A separate trailer later arrived for the camels. Investigators later determined the fire was caused by a mechanical malfunction. Trooper Titus and Deputy Kennedy were treated for smoke inhalation. Thankfully, no people or animals were seriously injured. Days later, the Indiana State Police received a photo from the circus. All the rescued animals performing in Fort Wayne as planned. The Grant County Sheriff's Office praised Deputy Kennedy, Trooper Titus, and others for risking their lives to save the animals. It was one of the most unusual incidents in their law enforcement careers. 3 cases, 3 completely different situations, but they share one thing in common. Officers forced to make split-second decisions in critical moments. In Ohio, 2 officers opened fire to save a hostage from an armed suspect. In Maryland, police coordinated on the ground and in the air to catch 3 dangerous robbers. And in Indiana, 2 officers charged into flames to rescue 10 circus animals. And all of it showing the daily challenges law enforcement faces across America.